All right, here we go. So I am a master trader, all my trades end in profit. I am a master trader, all my trades end in profit. So go ahead, and you're awesome. I like that. So go ahead and drop your question in the chat, because what we're gonna start is we're gonna start by making sure everyone understands what the BYOB cash out is. What is the BYOB cash out? How can you cash out? So, okay, well, I'll answer the question when you drop it in the chat. I know you say you had a question, so we'll get to that, okay? Okay, so let me walk through this, and then maybe I believe that's going to answer your question, right? Let me walk through this from the beginning, and if you still have that same question, or if there is still some confusion, then send me another message through the chat, and we'll make sure that it's clarified, because we want to make sure that when you leave this call tonight, you definitely understand how to properly execute, okay? So this is exactly what I'm going to do right now at the beginning of this call. So first things first, right? First things first. So for all of you all kind of had the same question. So let me questions pertaining to the same thing. So let me walk through how you properly execute the BYOB cash out, what it is, what I'm looking for. And then if you, like, as I just stated, if you still have those questions, or if you still have a question to what I'm going to go over and how I go over it, then I'll ask for questions at that time. So let me start from the very, very beginning. The first thing, so now first things first, like I said, we always do our affirmation, which you all just did. I am a master trader, all my trades end in profit. So we want to make sure we have the right mindset when we sit down to trade. When we're looking at the computer, if you're frustrated, or you want a clear mindset, you want no emotions at the table, you want to make sure your mindset is right. So also understand that we ride the wave of the market. We ride the wave of the market. And because we ride the wave of the market, what that means is that we have to understand the big picture, what the market makers are doing, what's happening, what's going on. So that's where we begin, and that's what we start. And what that is, how do we do that? First thing first is we want to check the news, right? We want to make sure that we know what's happening in the economy. We want to make sure that we know what's happening around the world, period. Now, once again, you have no emotional attachment. No emotional attachment to the news. None, right? You definitely want to make sure that you understand that. So, but I definitely want to come to I use two different websites. There are so many others. I know I have a different one that's on my phone. I saw another one in the chat. So, but the important thing is red folders. We want to know if there is something that is to affect. First is we start with technical analysis. And what the technical analysis does is it allows us to mark the charts up. If you look left, the market repeats itself. The market repeats itself. So you always want to make sure that you're looking left. You're looking to see what's transpired, what's happened, where we are. And when I say look left, that means on the chart. So, but we want to check the news, because this is what you call fundamental analysis. And what the fundamentals do is they work off the emotions. People react to this. So when we looked at it this morning, we looked at how the market reacted to the news, all the news in the red folders that we just had. So, and I'll analyze off of that one. Then we also want to check Forex Factory is another one. Basically what I'm showing you is you just want to make sure that when you sit down to trade, we don't have red folders, right? We don't have that. And then I look at the currency strength. So you can use this one, you can use one on your phone, but I'm looking at what I'm trying to see is what is the overall trend of the market, right? What's the overall trend? Looking at this, I know JPY isn't very strong. Look at the consistency across the time frames, right? JPY is not very strong right now. AUD is picking up in strength. So I got AUD that has a little strength to it. NZD, right, has some strength to it. It starts in the 1 minute and it feeds, but look at NZD here. So AUD, NZD, USD, But even with NZD, you look, they're on multiple. AUD is on multiple. So you're looking at the overall strength of the market because you understand your base currency and your counter currency, right? Those are things, those are two that we definitely want to understand. And as I put this in, we want to see, we're going to walk through and we're going to show you. And we're going to analyze it. Okay. So AUD, USD. AUD, USD. Now, we see AUD has some strength. So this one actually, I'm on a 15-minute chart, so this one actually flipped. This one flipped before. Now the candle we're on is the one that came at 9, but this one actually flipped about 8:45 Eastern. So this one was a trade. Now let me walk you through why this was a good trade. Now, first thing first, understand the reason we looked at currency strength. The reason you want to understand, you want to look at the currency strength is because if I need to know, this is what you call a base currency and a counter currency. You are actually trading currency. You buy one and you sell at the same time. For example, when I retired from the Army, but initially I did payroll and I also worked in the cashier cage. I was in Germany. And so so if you've ever traveled overseas, you've seen those exchange booths and you saw those things, right? Well, in there, pretend like this was what that is. Pretend like this is what that is, because technically that really is what it is. You're buying a currency and selling it at the same time. So someone would give me a US dollar and I would give them a German Deutsch, right? That's what happened. And so I was buying US dollar and selling German Deutsch. And so that's what's happening right here. You're buying one currency and you are selling another. So, and what they were doing is they were selling the US dollar and they were buying the German Deutsch. So that is what the currency strength means. That's what that base currency and that counter currency mean, because somebody out there is doing these transactions. And what you have to understand is that where's the volume in the market? Do we have more people in the market purchasing AUD? Because we know the stock market, we know what happens on TV. That's real life, and it's real life all around the world. So do we have more of those transactions happening with the AUD, or do we have more of those transactions and people in the market and actually strengthening the US dollar? Which one is the strongest? So whichever one is the strongest, the AUD, if that's the strongest, then we're looking for a buy transactions. If the USD is the strongest, then we're looking for sell transactions. And so that's just to paint that mental picture so you understand why you're doing what you're doing and what's actually happening all around it. And so that's what that is, and that's what you want to understand. Now that you know that, now we come analyze the market and analyze the trade. And when you start learning to trade, what happens is you have to pick currency pairs, you have to analyze them, it's so much that you personally have to do, right? It's just so much personally that you will have to mark up the charts, but it's worth it, right? It's worth it because of how much money you're making. It's worth it because of the income potential. So it's worth it. But what we're looking at and what you're going to see is that the web analyzer does the heavy lifting for you. So the web analyzer is a great tool to have, because what's going to happen is what's going to happen is instead of you having to scan the market, it scans the market for you, right? You don't have to scan the market. It does it for you. But if you choose to pick some currency pairs, or maybe you have a favorite currency pair, you just put it in here and you type it in, right? Just like you saw me type it in. But at the same time, you see AUD USD is actually been called. It was called, but that's the hour chart. And then you see it again on a 5-minute chart, right? The reason why one is a potential buy, one is a potential sell, is because different things happen on different time frames. So this is a great tool to have, and it's a great tool that you want to utilize. Now, the next thing that I'm doing is when I look at this, the first thing that I want to look at, the first thing that I want to know is you have 3 confirmations. And the very, very first thing that you want to look at is the stochastic. So you have the stochastic, and the stochastic flips up above the blue line, or it flips downward below the red line. Now that's what you want to see. But what you want to do is you want to see it from a perspective of, if it's around the 20, I'm looking for a buy. If it's around the 80, I'm looking for a sell. Understand that when I'm doing that and when I'm looking for that, it doesn't matter what the web analyzer called, because it's a potential. The web analyzer gave me an entry trigger, right? An entry trigger. But my area of value is going to tell me what type of trade that I'm looking for. And so the stochastic is around the 20. This is what we're looking for. The stochastic is around that 20. And with it around that 20, I get the blue line that cross over the red, and it's moving up in an upward momentum. And that's when we know we're looking for a buy. So when it's around that 20, that tells me I'm looking for a buy. This other 2 confirmations, they're not necessarily going to come at the same time. And it does not matter what order they come in. But normally we get the Hikinashi candle first, normally. So actually most of the time, like you hardly get the PSAR first. So, but you can, I want you to understand that you can. But so these 2 confirmations do not matter what order they come in. You just want to make sure you have all 3 before you execute a trade. Now, what you see is you have my green Hikinashi candles. I'm gonna need a flat bottom. These wicks don't matter. I'm only concerned with the wicks across the bottom of the candle because these are trend candles. Now for a sell, I need a red Hikinashi candle, and that red one needs to have a flat top. How do you remember? Imagine you putting your hands on it and you having to push it, or I'm pushing the candles down and I'm pushing them up. If I'm pushing on something, I want the bottom flat or the top flat. Whatever part my hand goes on, I want to make sure that that's flat. I don't want a wick poking me. So that's just a good way to remember it. I've had the question about the wicks. And so just remember, this is a buy. And because it's a buy, you want to make sure you have that flat bottom. The next confirmation is the PSAR flip, right? Yes, we trade after the first PSAR flip. So as soon as that PSAR flips, then what I'm looking for, that PSAR represents a stop and reversal in the market. And with the stop and reversal in the market, what I'm looking for is, I'm looking for a stop and reversal. That's like the support and resistance lines that are moving with the candles, that are moving with it. And so that's just something that you also want to make sure that you understand, is that I need my PSAR. So my PSAR shows me that the market is actually reversed. I know I got a trend, but I know I have momentum, right? I have a trend, and now I actually have the reversal. All 3 of those, and me having all 3 of those, what that means is that now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to look at a trade. So why was this a valid trade? This trade actually started about 8:45. So if you would have saw this trade before the call, then you would have properly entered this trade. I didn't call the trade because we were at the end of the second candle, but it was a valid trade. And it peaked out so far, right, from the time it was ready, it peaked out about 8. So it might have a little bit more to go. Now understand, even though it was valid, sometimes when you see that, you might not want to try to go for 10 pips. Let's look at what happened before it, right? This obviously could be a correction, or because it's designed for 10 pips and cash out. And then you want to start looking for extra stuff, or just looking for little things that will tell you, how do I go from 92% to higher, right? How do I do that? And I do that by ensuring that, like, look at this one. When this one flips, see the stochastic pointing downward from the 80? And then I got my Hikinashi candle, right, with the flat top. But I didn't even have, look what we got this. Now you don't mark your chart up, you're gonna miss a trade trying to sit here and mark it up. But what I want to do is I want to show you all how the alignment of what's happening. Let me get a better color. I want to make sure you can see, right? Or maybe it's the thickness. So you see where we are, right? This is where we are. And so now I got the blue line and a downward momentum across the red. I have a red Hikinashi candle with a flat. No, this one don't have flat. The line covered it up. So yeah, that one has a nice wick on the top. So when I got my flat top, this is where we were, right? Okay. But however, this is where I got my PSAR, right? Because I need all three of them. Now notice that when I got my PSAR, right? Look where my momentum was, right? Look at my momentum. So the key is to understand that it has to start around the 80. This is where it needs to flip. I don't want it in the middle, right? I don't want it here. I don't want it here. You want to make sure that it starts around the 80 and it's momentum. So understand that with momentum, it might not necessarily be at the top anymore. Like this one has dropped significantly by the time that this happened. So this is where we are. And we got our PSAR flip and now we can enter the trade. You notice that these candles in this series has already happened some, but look how far, right? Look how far the PSAR is from the candle. That's strong, right? That's strong. So you would have rolled all this down. You would have had some correction, which is why you don't put the stop loss in between the PSAR and the candles. You put the stop loss outside. But look at how far that is. If you're not comfortable with that, you still don't want to hear. I promise you, you don't want to hear. But when you see this much strength, this gap, the chances of it turning around, look at how close it got before it turned around. Look at how close the momentum. So understand that you can move your stop loss, to close it out. But if you do, you want to stay outside of the PSAR. But I know if I got a gap this wide, that is strong. I'm not going to tell you, I guarantee you it won't turn around, but that's strong. So after we just came off of a nice push down like this, right? So these are the things your eyes will start picking up on. Because if you just had done if you just did the 3 confirmations and cashed out, you still could have got some pips. I mean, it's not over. It's definitely not over yet. But what you're seeing is this nice gap. But then you see this turnaround, and so you want to monitor. Do I go for 10 pips, or do I just kind of get 5, or do I take the trade it off, right? Because we're at 8 now, but you still got what's called a pip reaction time. How long does it take you from the market execution, from thinking about I need to take a trade, to getting your phone out, hitting market execution, and actually entering a trade? How long does that take you? That's your pip reaction time, right? So you want to take all of that into account. I got pip reaction time. I have a trend that's pulling down, and that's what we are. And this is what you're looking at. So I can drop down like we saw this. Now, had we been at the beginning of the second candle, not saying I would have took this trade, but you could have, but I would have, if I would have took it, I definitely wasn't going for 10 pips. But if you see this, this is a correction, because look at how strong this was. It came and we corrected a little bit, but look how strong this was. So when you come behind that, you want to actually monitor it, but it can still go. It can go for the 10 pips. It's not done. But so had we been at the beginning of this candle, it's a strong possibility that we would have got in the trade, but we were at the end of it, which means that you got to remember, underneath this are Japanese candles, because this is just the indicator. So what happened? Yes, oh yes, most definitely. Right, that's going to be a sell. I was getting there. That is definitely going to be a sell. So when you get here, you see, look at this green candle, and then the second candle pulled back some. The third candle actually pushed up. So you want to take all of this and to understand that there's activity that's happened beneath this. So what you see with Hikinashi candles was a solid green candle, because even though it pulled back a little bit, the overall trend the overall trend was a buy. It's an uptrend, right? So see the difference? You wouldn't, by looking at that, you don't know. And that's why you guys start saying, oh my goodness, what's going on with this trade? Why is it not in profit? What is happening? Ride the wave, ride it out. Let it do its work, let it do its process. And you could have dropped down to the 5-minute chart and actually saw what was happening at the time. Actually, let me do, so you can, I want to make sure everybody can see it clearly. So that's where we were. If I drop down to the 5-minute chart, now take a look at where we are, right? Take a look. So we were in that up, and then we still had some correction. And so this is just happens to be where we were in that momentum, but we still coming from a down. So we get our pen and paper, get our watch list, right? AUD, and look, the web analyzer just called it on, the web analyzer just called it. And remember, sometimes it might be a correction for us, but because this saying, okay, wait, you know, for the next one, but the web analyzer just called it on the 5-minute chart, and they called it on the 5-minute chart. And when they called it, you know, as you can see, the stochastic is around the 80. It still needs to turn around, but the stochastic is around the 80, and it is actually gonna have to turn for a sell. So we know this is watch list, right? We know this is watch list, but we have to wait for it to actually turn. So, and when it turns, you can ride this for a sell. So pay attention to this trade, because that's what you're gonna be able to do. So, and of course you have to wait for all 3 confirmations. And the reason why I dropped down to the lower time frames is tighter entry. You can actually get a better entry. And you also want to see, remember, the 5-minute feeds into the 15. It feeds into the 15, like the 30-minute feeds into the hour. So you want to just make sure that you're riding that wave and paying attention to that. So what else do we have? So did that, before I move on, did that answer your questions? Do you have any more questions about this? Do you have any more questions? I want to make sure I answered these questions that I had in the chat. Awesome, that's great, that's great. And then as far as support and resistance line, no, I appreciate it. It takes more than one person, and you guys are the signal. You guys are the signal. So when you give me trades, or when you say, hey, let's take a look at this, or let's take a look at that, or I see it in the chat, I love it, because that means you're learning to fish on your own. That's your financial freedom. This is your life. You enrolled to make sure that because you all have a why, you all have something that you want to accomplish, and that's why you're here. And so I want you all to be able to take this information back and actually utilize it and do what you want. And I love the fact that you all share. So I love the fact that you all share. So that's very motivational. It's just a great feeling to know that God is using me to the point that you all have learned the skill set, and you guys are making money. You guys are making money, and you're doing it on your own, and you're sharing information. So the support and resistance, you get lost. Now, on the BYOB challenge page, we've got some trainings that we do on Tuesday night, and they have some called market structure. I would go right and know if you do the 10 pips and cash out, right? Just do the 3 confirmations. That's why we built this like this. This is why this is created like this. This is why it's taught from the 15-minute chart. So no matter where you are in trading, no matter what's happening with you and where you are in trading, whether it's day 1 or day 50, I mean, I literally had somebody that's just enrolled, and his first time taking trades, he had 5 that were in profit, and he's doing it off the 15-minute chart. So this is why we approach this from this way. You know, when I created the strategy, it's a blessing. But now that you all can actually take this and do it on your own, but then now you can take it from other perspectives and take it to higher time frames, take it, you know, trade it on different currencies and things like that. CAD, CHL. So let me use a different one. I don't know. I've never seen line stay on the web analyzer. That's something I did earlier. If you are in a trade and the dot moves the other way, it's a reversal. It can reverse back too. Like, look at, hold on. So Am I gonna see one? Probably not gonna see one. But sometimes it'll flip back. It just depends on what's going on in the market. I have to see one and kind of walk you through it. But sometimes it'll flip back. Just like, this is not the example I'm looking for, but it's close. Just like right here, you were in a sell, and then we had a correction for a buy, right? But we know that that wasn't going anywhere, and then it flipped back for a sell. So, and you see it never pulled back very far. It just kept going. So I will have to see one that you're looking at. So if you get one screenshot, message it to me, things like that. But you're typically not gonna have it. Sometimes they flip back, or sometimes the market has actually changed directions completely, and you kind of want to evaluate that from a case-by-case situation. Just like gold, when we're doing gold and the US 30 and things like that, those are definitely situations where it happens. So you're looking for this for a buy, right? A buy on this one would be a correction. Look at that downtrend. So a buy on this one, like this was a buy, this was a correction. So it can turn around for a buy, but I don't even know after this one, then this one, it couldn't have got 10. This is where it topped up. Yeah. So that one didn't get 10. So you want to make sure that I even started from the right spot. When you see this, this is what makes up, it just depends on where I drop the mouse, but the pip reaction time. So when you see something like this, this is that 8%. So you would go take the trade, but how do I keep myself from doing it? This is an obvious downtrend. I mean, look at this correction. It went sideways. This one didn't even pull up. The market shot up. Look how strong this is going down. And then we turn around, look at this correction is not very strong in a buy. So I wouldn't take a buy here if you see the pattern of what's happening in the market right now on this currency pair. So once it finishes, you can jump into this for a sell. So if you were taking a sell on this one, then you were doing great. I know I don't know, was that you that asked me to look at it? So let's see here. USD JPY. Oh, that's something her earlier. Okay. So let's look at some currency pairs. Let's look at, we got AUD USD. Yeah, you can get stuck. They had a lot of news today. A lot of news. And we went over that this morning talking about how the news affects the market. And there was a lot of news today. So it was a lot of news. And it just, yeah. Let me turn off the hour on here and get back to this 15-minute and 5-minute chart. That's the one we just looked at. So this one, look at all these candles. Look at these spikes everywhere. So I got spikes on the candles on the downward momentum, right? Well, the market just looked like didn't know what it wanted to do. And this buy, I mean, you never really got a flag candle. Look at all these spikes in the market. And then it consolidated, it went sideways a little bit, and now it's coming for a sell. So, oh, I'm not going to go to it. I've never seen them call one from the day chart. I don't know if they even do. I mean, it's on there, so I'm sure. But see, it's rare that they call something from the day chart. But thank you. If your information is grayed out, if you can't place it, then you want to check your numbers. Do you put your take profit in there before you do market execution? If you're trying to put your stop loss and your take profit in at the same time that you're entering the trade, or it can be your lot size possibly. Look at all this consolidation. Look at the market. I don't know what it was. Look at this. Look at all of these spikes everywhere. It's just like the market was trying to figure out what it wanted to do. That's a lot of and it pushed up in the uptrend, and now it's starting to balance back out. It wasn't even any news, so. And you can't you can't select it, you can't enter it. You might want, are you in a demo account? Are you live? Okay, so are you on a demo account with MetaTrader 4, or are you with a broker's demo account? Get you a broker. Get you a broker. I highly recommend. That way you can start filling the market for a broker. You can go to a broker and it will give you the criteria. Select a broker, get the criteria to put into your phone. You know, when you log into an existing account, you get that criteria, and then from there you can actually operate like you're trading from that broker standpoint. So you know how that broker operates, what's going on with that broker. So you always, you know, kind of check that. So select a broker and open a demo account with the broker. No, this is what tonight is for. This is what these Tuesday and Thursday nights are for. It's to make sure that you all are properly set up and catch some pips. Thursday night, we train and catch pips at the same time. Tuesday nights is training. Thursday nights, we're training and catching pips. So you're talking about the PSR flip, but the new, yes, that can happen sometime. That does happen sometime. And that's why I say it's not very often that you get that PSR flip first. It's not very often. How far back was it? I can show people, so I can show everybody else. It's not very, it doesn't happen very often. Okay, here we go. It's going back and forth from green to red. So, right. So stochastic kind of got this sideways motion going on. And now look, the PSR flipped. And this is, okay, and this is an example of what I was talking about, that when she asked the question, when the PSR flip, or whomever it was answer the question, when the PSR flips, you know, if I'm in a trade and then the dots flip to the bottom or to the top, you know, in the opposite direction, do I get out the trade? And this one, if you were in this for a sale, you're going to keep selling. You notice that this is at a support and resistance line, right? This is at a support, this is at a support and resistance. So even though my stochastic look like it's coming up and it caused the PSR to flip, right? It touched it, it caused it to flip. It's going to flip back soon. Look at my stochastic starting to go down. And that's why I said check it for the overall strength. So my stochastic is starting to move down a little bit, but look at what's happening. So the only thing that can change it is, like you said, you're looking at the currency strength. I would, of course, move down the stop loss and secure some of my profits outside of the PSR. But when I see this is, I don't have a strong candle. So unless something happens in the currency or something happens for it to shoot back up, this one I don't see doing that. I'm seeing this continue for a sale. So like you're saying, you on the currency strength, we can go back to the currency strength. Hold on, let me make sure I got the right chart. Currency strength, right? GBP, you see it's moving through there, but then we got it against CA. Here we go, look how weak. Now, remember, it feeds from here. That's why this is not a fourth confirmation. It's not a fourth confirmation, because it can be feeding from here, and you might look over here and it's stronger, but look at GBP is at 48 on that chart. See, they're both equal in strength. That's why that's what you see right here. So it's kind of measuring for what's going on at that moment, and then it's gonna shift, it's gonna move, right? They're exactly equal in strength, and because they're equal in strength, look what's happening right here. So the candles can tell me what my strength is of the market, right? The candles tell me what the strength is of the market. So I didn't have to go back here to see that, but it's good to know that. And so that's why when we come here, I'm looking for the overall strength. So like I got AUD that's got some strength. You see how it's feeding into the 5, and then it's gonna push into the 15. So that's what we're looking at. So if I come on here, like right now, each one is different. The greater is different on each time frame. So the market It's doing what it want to do right now, but it's consistent. Don't get me wrong, but it's good to know that, okay, looking at this, I can almost trade anything. I'm probably going to be able to buy and sell and buy and sell. But what I do know is JPY doesn't have a lot of strength across the board, right? JPY doesn't have a lot of strength across the board. It's got a little bit here, a little bit there, but across the board, JPY has been weak. AUD, NZD, right? Look at my AUD and my NZD. Even NZD has some strength over here. So as it's feeding into the other time frame. So that's what you want to, when you're looking at this, you're looking for the overall strength in the market. You can't take it as the gospel, because as you can see, it shifts with the market shifting. So the confirmations is what I'm looking for. And if you're in that, and if you're messing up on trades, and is it because you're using this? Because this reads from the market, not the market doesn't read from this. You got to remember, this reads from the market. The market does not read from this. So what's happening here is just going to be reflected here, right? And that you just want to remember that. So like I said, if you come here and you got one that's strong all the way across the board, right? So and then like I got currency heat wave on my phone. I know somebody else had another one that was in the chat. So what I tell you, that it was either going to push up or it was going to turn around. So you see it's trying to get a little strength to it right now, but look how weak that candle is. That candle's very weak. It's still not a strong candle. So it's not that one is better. They just read different. Currency heat wave have added the time frames, but they just start at the 15. You know, they got the overall time frame to give you the overall consensus of what the market is doing. It actually gives you, currency heat wave actually gives you, thank you. Currency heat wave will actually you can kind of look at that, and when you're looking at currency heat wave, you're gonna actually get to see like the strength, the volume, the volatility, the sentiment. You're gonna get to see all of that. So when you're looking for all of that, right? So, and then I've seen somebody drop that one. What is that, live charts? So this another one. See, I told you the market was coming out of something for it to be all of them to have something different on the different time frames. So this is another example. This one is calling for a buy, but look at the previous buys coming out of that correction. So this is just a strong downtrend, and this a push up, and then no matter, you're gonna turn around and take this for a sell. So we can put this on the NZD CHF. We can put that on the watch list as well for a sell. Yes, ma'am. So see, I dropped down the time frame. You see the stochastic is already starting to turn. So which one did you, let me grab this one real quick. Analyze USD CHF. Same thing. Same thing. Nice downward trend. It does. This one just didn't have that high. So whatever it is, you guys are calling the stuff that's paired against the CHF. So we're getting that same situation with that currency pair. So you, of course, you can watch list it for a sale. Exactly. Now you guys are starting to see it. That's a correction. Now, basically, on some stuff, right? On some of them, based on what's happening, the market, look at the market, all that news today. So what you're seeing is the market balancing back out from all the news that happened today. So look at all of this, right? There's a lot of news today. So the market is balancing back out from all the news. Look at this. This isn't how it normally looks, right? Now, this is how it normally looks, right? We like some nice move market. So nice move candles that look pretty. I like Hikanashi candles, they're pretty. So if you're looking at that, right? And you don't have all that choppiness. But because we had news from this morning, just all over the place. And because of that, And see, you can look, even with the news, you can actually look at that and be like, I'm not trading that, when it had all those wicks and all that stuff everywhere, right? You don't want to get caught up in all that stuff. So then it consolidated out, the market consolidated out, right? So wicks everywhere, consolidation, wicks to consolidation, and now it's finally starting to come out. So the market reacts to the technical, but then it turns around and it corrects itself, because the fundamentals is what you're going to see with the market. So the technical, and now I said it backwards. The technical analysis is how you analyze the charts and look at the market, but the fundamentals can get the market off track just for a moment, because we react to the market, right? Not us, the banks and all the people that move the market. And that's why we were like, trade with caution, stay out of it, let them finish their speeches. That's why we don't want to be trading at that time. So looking at this one, you're looking like, okay, I can actually turn around and then end up probably taking this for a buy, right? Look what's happening. It's coming down for a sell, and then you could probably turn around and take this for a buy. So you just want to know what you're looking at. And guess what? We got one on the watch list from the AUD USD for a sale, right? AUD was the base currency, and now we got AUD as the counter currency. So one we're buying, one we're selling. See how that works? Now, if you trade the correction, of course, that's not going to line up. But when you trade in the direction of the trend of the market, and what's actually happening in the market, you don't want to counter trend trade. So what was that? Might as well check another one, right? We know we got stuff coming up on the watch list. Same thing. AUDCHF, right? Same thing. Now, what are we looking for with that? Right? So that's definitely what we're looking for. So I don't have it marked up anymore. Okay. What we're looking at now, I want to look at some of the other currencies. That was what happened. Let's see. It moved it. I know we got our favorite currency pairs. This kind of did the same thing. I would drop down to the 5-minute chart on these, right? Because of the movement and how they move, right? And so when you're looking at that, so that's US oil, you can put that on the watch list for a sale. You put it on the watch list. We're not. So this is what gold is currently doing right now. Gold is still in that sale. So if you would have actually caught this from earlier, right? Gold is still in that sale. So now this is actually pulling on that hour. Drop down. Now, did anybody scout this? I know we were in some trades, right, from earlier, and we had a nice little pullback. So any nice look like it's pushing back up. Did anybody scalp it? If you scalped it, put a 555 in the chat. Or are you just doing the long take profits waiting on a market correction? If you scalped it, put a 555. You scalped this or gold? Nobody scalped it? So everybody just took the US 30 call and you're waiting on the market to push back up? Or I'm sorry, the US 30 trade suggestion, trade idea. So, but this is what I was scalping. And so when you understand that you can scalp, you can actually ride the wave up, and you can ride the wave up, and then you can turn around and pull it for a sale. And then when you see everything lined up for a sale, and then you turn around and you can take it, and it's kind of coming out of that sale, started consolidating some. But once it got to the bottom, you know when to get out the trade as well. So you know when to get in and when to get out. So had you done that, let's see, it actually, had you been able to do that, it actually momentum started, and then we see you actually got a PSR flip first, and then this is another one. You got the PSR flip first, and I'm on a 15-minute chart, but I'd have been on a 5. But you see you got a candle, and then you had a little pullback. That pullback does not go outside of the PSR. It does not go outside of the PSR, and then but it began to push back up. So had you taken it, right, that's 120 points. Turn around and take the sale, and then this is I mean, it's just consistently riding it. But of course, when I'm scalping, I'm over here. You see how much smoother it is to be able to scalp the 5-minute chart on indices than it is the 15. You look at the difference. I just wanted y'all to see the difference, and that way you can actually scalp it, and you don't have to deal with those big pullbacks. Because I know I say don't be emotional, but everybody's not there yet. And I want you all to get there. Yeah, I was too. I was surprised U.S. oil didn't jump a little bit more. I was surprised as well. And that's the expectation I was looking for. And that's why I had it pulled up and I was looking at it. So let's see. Let's look at it. And then we got some that just came in on the web analyzer. It looks like it's in consolidation. That's what it looks like. Look at this. It had a look at this uptrend, right? The market had to get back on track. So we had all that news. It consolidated. But look, no, that's not. It's actually, it's looking like that because of that big jump. Hold on, let me do this. So the market was moving. It was moving. It reacted. I mean, after the reaction, it consolidates, and now look, it's getting back on track, or it's trying anyway. And now look this would be the news spike from earlier. This would be the news spike, and because whenever you see spikes like this, it spikes from news, it spikes from information. So this is not something that the market just does. So it's a spike. It's coming down, and now it's moving in, and now it's consolidated. It's got to get back on track. It pushed up and it consolidated, and then it'll get to moving. So before we transition this cause or anything, we got 5 on the watch list. So you got 5 currency pairs on the watch list. And when you got the market consolidating like this, you just want to take that in mind. We had the AUD USD, NZD CHF, Euro CHF, GBP AUD, and AUD CHF. And make sure you properly analyze them before you take a trade. Make sure you properly analyze them before you take a trade. Oh, you're so welcome. Make sure you properly analyze them before you take a trade. We want you all to be in profit. So watch list does not mean guarantee. Like I could call this the web analyzer watch list. I still have to analyze it and make sure it does what it's supposed to do. See, look, you can add this one to the watch list. AUD USD, NZD CHF, USD CHF, GBP, AUD CHF. I'll type them. Just a second. You can look at this for, you could probably do this for, that's the 5-minute was feeding into the, so look at this. Look at that downtrend. You see it's currently in a correction. So, right, and now it's gonna turn. The 5-minute is almost there. So on the 5-minute, add it to the watch list. Yeah, so add that to the watch list. And so while we're talking to the finance doctor, we'll probably get some, you'll be trading and listening, right? Trading and listening. So, Mr. Rogers, you have any comments before we transition this call? Okay, let me see here. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me put this watch list in here. Let me put this watch list in here. Make sure you guys have it. And while I'm doing that, make sure you're registered for the upcoming events. Make sure you're registered for the upcoming events. BYOBchallenge.net. Next weekend on the 21st in Tallahassee. Next weekend in Tallahassee, we have the Be Your Own Bank Expo. Be Your Own Bank Expo in Tallahassee next week. So you want to make sure you're registered. You see, look at that. This one probably gonna hit first, but you want to go back and analyze all of them. So, and check the 5 and the 15-minute charts on them all. But check the 15 first. But this last one is NZD/USD. I know it was on the 5, but it is going to feed into the 15. Definitely gonna feed into the 15, but the 15 is not ready yet. You'll see what happens with that next candle, and obviously it's gonna happen on the 5-minute first. And it's going to begin to feed into this. But you want to definitely make sure that it's pushing and going all into the same direction in a minute. But so with that being said, I'm going to close out this call, but we need to transition. You definitely we want to transition this call. So in transitioning this call,